What's going on, guys? We are back today with somebody that I've known since our days in high school. Quick shout out to my guys over at Ambush Sports Network, Josh Musell, for their support since day one. Check them out at Ambush Sports on Twitter. As mentioned, joining me today is somebody that I've known for a long time, the pride of Chilliwack, BC, a name that we're going to be very familiar with very soon, Jamie Siraj. Jamie, what's going on, my friend?
What up, Lyndon? How's it going, bro?
Very well, man. I appreciate you taking the time. This is we were just talking about it before, but you're somebody you play hard to get. You're not an easy guy to track down, so I'm glad we made the time.
Hey, man. I don't give my number out that easy, man. You gotta sweet talk your way into getting me on. So I'm glad we finally got to do this, though.
Awesome, man. So, Jamie, growing up in Chilliwack at a young age, you were a name that whenever MMA or whenever the UFC would come up, you were talked about from a local scene. When did you know, as a youngster, when did you know that it was something that this was going to be the path that you went down for a career?
Almost immediately, man. Like I was around like 13 or 14 when I first walked into Revolution Martial Arts in Chilliwack. And right away, man, I did a MMA class. I got the shit kicked out of me. I loved it, and I just kind of had in my mindset that I wanted to be a fighter, or at least I wanted to try out fighting. And then after I won my first amateur fight, I knocked the guy out in the first round, and I was hooked from there, and I was dead set on becoming a world champion. So I kind of had the vision pretty early on that I was going to be doing this for a living.
Yeah, and your whole life you've remained true to your roots. You've stayed in the Chilliwack, stayed in the Vancouver, stayed in the Burnaby area with all of your training and stuff like that. I was just recently chatting with Cole Smith, and he was saying that maybe the western side of Canada, BC specifically, it doesn't quite get as much love as it probably should when it comes to guys getting the call up to the bigger promotions. Is that something that you've kind of seen yourself of, where it's almost maybe a tougher path to travel, being in the West Coast?
Yeah, definitely, man. Because from Canada, it was guys like George St. Pierre who kind of and the people under the TriStar Montreal wing that were the ones being looked at, because of the name GSP. But I mean, British Columbia has always produced top talent, from Rory McDonald to Matt Dwyer to Cole Smith getting signed to Arjun Buller. Guys that no one, maybe people haven't even heard of, like Achilles Estramadura, Tristan Connolly, like two guys that are just absolute killers. Man, BC has some of the best fighters in Canada, and honestly, depending on what weight class you're looking at, I think they have some of the best in the world, especially at Bantamweight.
Yeah, and in there you did mention TriStar Montreal, and I know in your past you've been out to Montreal, you've spent a little bit of time there. I saw yesterday you were giving some love to Arnold Allen after he had an amazing performance over Gilbert Melendez. Is going out to Montreal still something that's part of your routine? Do you make your way out there at all?
Oh, definitely, man. Like I haven't been able to go out there as of lately, just because of the funds, man. Like I see pictures being posted all the time, and man, I miss it there so much. But when we're in a bigger promotion and I start getting paid my worth, I'll definitely be making more and more trips out there. I mean, Faraz, and all the guys out there, they're so good to me, man. And the TriStar Dorms, man, if you're a serious fighter and you are dedicated to your craft, man, there's no place better to be. Connected right to the gym. You have your place where you can go cook, have a little nap, train all day, man. The gym's available to you from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. 6 days a week, 7 days a week. So, I mean, yeah, I'll definitely be going back out there, seeing all the boys out at TriStar Montreal, spending some time at Grant Brothers Boxing Club, the Montreal Wrestling Club, man. There's so many killers out there. So, yeah, I'll definitely be making my way back out there.
Yeah, Montreal just seems like it's something that for a lot of guys it has absolutely everything that they're looking for, and I think being coached and being under the wings of Firas Zahabi is something that every fighter it could look for. You constantly hear Joe Rogan referencing that guys should be going out there, guys should check it out. He talked Kevin Lee into going out there, and I know Kevin Lee is going to be spending some time there in the next few weeks. So spending time in that surroundings is something that I think is only beneficial for fighters. And in that, you did mention that once you do get to one of these higher promotions and start getting paid your worth. So you're a guy, you've been through the local scene, been on the national scene now for a little bit, and you're one step away from making that move to an elite promotion. And your entire life that I've known you and that I've been following you constantly talk UFC when you are talking about taking that next step. It is if someone like a Bellator or a One Championship were to reach out to you, that's something that you just couldn't pass on, is it?
I mean, obviously, it would be pretty hard to pass up on a promotion like that. The thing is that you have to look at the UFC as an investment. The UFC is the real lottery ticket, and it's one of those places. If you don't feel like you can beat everyone in the world at your weight class, the UFC is probably not the place for you. You should go, and I'm not saying that if you go and fight in Bellator or ONE FC, you're not one of the best in the world, because I have Bibiano Fernandez on a day-to-day basis beating the shit out of me. You know what I mean? But just for me, I really see the UFC as the market that I want to tap into. The notoriety that comes from being a UFC fighter, or even though there's some of the best pound for pound in the world, no one really knows what ONE FC is unless you're a diehard fan, of the sport and you follow the sport. So, I mean, the UFC is where I want to be. But, of course, if, a place like One came calling, it's kind of like, for a fighter, you kind of have to make a decision pretty early. Is it Bellator or is it UFC? Because they're kind of the only real competition rival promotions against each other. So the UFC, if you go over to Bellator, they really only want to take you if you're the champion there. They don't pick up guys from Bellator because the Bellator contract is hard to get out of. That being said, Bellator is a great promotion as well. And of course, if the UFC weren't to sign me in a couple of fights here, I mean, definitely I would start looking to tap into that market. But as of right now, man, my eyes are on the UFC, and I look at that place as my lottery ticket, so that's where I'm heading for.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I do think it's one of those things where the dream and you kind of do look at it as the cream of the crop always does seem to be talked about in the UFC. Obviously, One and Bellator have both made some very strong moves in the right direction over the last couple of years to get themselves into that conversation. But I do think that the UFC is still the top, the peak that everybody is looking to get to in terms of the pinnacle of mixed martial arts. And you talked about getting there within a couple of fights here. I know you have a fight coming up at the end of July here, I believe, and obviously we have July 27th. There's the card in Edmonton, and then September 14th. There's the card in Vancouver. Is that something? Have you had those conversations? Have you had those talks about if something were to happen? Is there a chance you could get on one of those cards, or is the feedback you're still getting one or two more fights, prove yourself, make yourself that case that it's an undeniable fact that they bring you in?
Well, I mean, from what I was told by my management team, first round management, Maurice Blanco, Malky Kawa, and Abe over there, they said that I'm on the injury replacement list. So if there were to be a pullout at 135, especially in the Canadian scene, I'm the first guy that they're gonna call. That being said, I believe in myself, and I believe that I am. I think it's me and Cole Smith, that as right now the top bantamweights in Canada. So for me, I'm one of those guys that I'm kind of crazy in certain ways, where I'll take the risk and I'll just go fight again. I probably could wait on where I'm sitting right now and get the call on a short notice or something like that. But man, I believe in myself. I believe I can beat any one of these 135ers in Canada. And I think what is just going to get me in there without any hesitation is just to keep winning, keep finishing people. So that's why I'm taking this fight. I believe in myself. I believe in my abilities. And, if I'm on the injury replacement list now, I go out there, I get a nice finish. I mean, I think I'm going to be pretty hard to deny that I don't deserve that contract. I'm right now I'm sitting at 7-2. I've avenged one of my losses by finishing the guy. My only other loss is to undefeated Cole Smith, who's in the UFC already and has a win in the UFC, who has proven that he's a top caliber opponent. So, I mean, I don't know what else they would be looking for. 7 wins, 6 finishes, and I'll just keep proving my worth, man. I'll keep fighting. Luckily for me, I love to fight, man. It's not a chore for a promoter to call me and have to get ready for a fight. I'm always training. I'm always staying ready. So, I think I'm just going to let my actions speak louder than my words will right now.
Yeah, man, that's exactly what I was just going to say. You're currently on a 4-fight win streak with your last loss coming to Cole Smith, who's made his UFC debut, got the win over Mitch Gagnon, somebody who's a UFC veteran. Your only other pro loss you later did avenge with a win. Getting into the UFC now, as you mentioned yourself, Cole Smith, I've seen through your social media, you guys have spent time together in the past with training and stuff like that. What's it like going from having somebody who was an opponent, somebody who at the time derailed your plans of continuing that path of making the wins? What's it like to then be training with somebody like that and in a sense kind of be going through and striving in the same direction for the same results as that person?
I think when you can kind of just objectively look at the situation and put your ego aside. I was 21 years old when I fought Cole. I was young. I thought I was gonna, to be honest, I thought I was gonna finish Cole pretty easily. And Cole showed up ready to fight. I heard from a lot of people getting ready for it that he was a tough guy. He's a tough guy, but I kind of had this almost false sense of security with being having more pro fights and everything. And Cole just came out and fought very composed. He had a great game plan against me, and he was the better fighter that night. And that's what it comes down to. And when I just took responsibility and took accountability for the fact that, hey, he was better that night, you need to step your game up. You need to improve on certain things. I just look at Cole now as I'm very thankful for him to actually have given me that loss so early in my career and be able to bounce back from that in a fight that was such a war where, he broke my nose, he cut me up. It was a back and forth battle, and then he got my back and he choked me out. I take nothing but as it was a lesson, and I'm very grateful now to have Cole as a training partner. We're some of the rounds that me and that guy have had are just people would pay pay-per-view to watch those rounds go down, so he's been a great training partner. The guy's always been a good guy to me. He's been nothing but cool. To me, he's welcomed me into his kind of second home at Checkmat Vancouver. And, I see me and him just going in the same direction. We're going to keep winning. We're going to keep beating people. We'll keep training together. And, I'm truly just happy to see Cole where he's at. I mean, the guy got to my back and he choked me out. I'm pretty high on myself. So if he could do that at any time in my career, I'll tip my hat off to the guy.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's amazing how being such a young fighter like you are and going through kind of those growing pains of having a loss in your third pro fight. I'm sure the way that you dealt with that was much different than even just over a year later when you dealt with your loss to Cole, is where it's something you hear all of the great fighters now say you win or you learn. There's no losses. It's a win or a learn situation. So it's really cool to hear you say that. And if you do look back at your seven pro wins, you've only had one decision, finishing six other opponents, and that decision did come in your last fight. Do you think that that's something where, as we see it become so public and vocal now with things like Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, where it's like unless you're getting those finishes, it does maybe make your case a little bit more difficult to get those big promotion opportunities?
Definitely, man. Like at the end of the day, there's so many guys out there that are on win streaks that are killing it, all the way from Brazil to America to Canada. So you have to be standing out. And I hear a lot of people say like, oh, well, they don't know real martial arts. At the end of the day, man, people do not want to watch someone go out there and hold on to someone's legs for 15 minutes. There are so many guys out there that are putting on phenomenal performances, that are knocking people out, that are world-class black belts choking people out, that there does have to be, I think at this point of the evolution of mixed martial arts, there has to be something about you that stands out. And for me, man, I think the thing that stands out is that I can beat you anywhere and I can finish you everywhere. I have ground and pound stoppages. I have guillotine chokes, rear naked chokes. From my amateur career, arm bars, kimuras, triangles. I've knocked people out with my hands. I've stopped people with body shots. There's no place where you're safe and scot-free when you're fighting me. If you give me an inch, I'm going to take a mile. You make one mistake and I'll capitalize on it and I will put you away. So definitely, man, I think there has to be that factor that people want to watch you, like, oh, I can't wait to watch him fight. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think there has to be something about you that stands out that is going to separate you from the pack. And, I think I'm on my way to doing that. I'm just going to keep training the way I'm training, keep improving on my skills, and I'm just going to keep finishing people. And yeah, man, that's where my mindset is at with it. I'm just going to keep finishing people. Whoever gets my way, I'm coming to take you out.
Yeah, and I think we can even just look at UFC 239 last night, and it just kind of shows exactly that. You look at the main event, and it's John Jones and Thiago Santos, two of the best in the world. John Jones, the greatest of all time, if you ask me. And although the fight was such a technically sound, striking match, there was zero takedowns. It was guys playing chess out there. It was an awesome fight. And you compare that even to the Ben Askren Jorge Masvidal fight, where the fans are going absolutely wild about a flying knee 5-second knockout, which is, yeah, absolutely amazing. But then you get into the fifth round of the main event, and they're booing in the main event because it's not exciting enough. So I think that shows that, like you're saying, as much as we want to view things from a mixed martial arts standpoint, and view things that, hey, mixed martial arts can be a beautiful thing, and it doesn't necessarily have to be all of these flashy, amazing finishes. At the same time, it's an entertainment business, and when people are paying money, what they want to see is they want to see that's flying, high flying, high excitement type finishes and those type of fights. So I couldn't agree with you more on that. And Jamie, just a couple more here. I just wanted to ask you so you have your upcoming fight at the end of July here, correct?
Yes, yeah, July 27th. It's going to be at the Q Center in Victoria, British Columbia.
Awesome. And so let's say you get into the fight week of that fight. You get into your fight week camp, and then an injury does happen for, say, the Edmonton card, and you're 1 week out. That's something, obviously, where if that opportunity presented itself at any point, are you contractually able and in a position in which you would be able to take that fight?
Yeah, we actually already have a backup opponent for Blake Sigvaldason. In the case of if that was going to happen, I don't know if there's any bantamweight fights on the card. I haven't even looked at the card. but yeah, if there were to be any pullouts, Saba, the president of Rise FC, he wants nothing more than to see me in the big show. He's giving me Rise FC as a platform to display my skill. He's not trying to own the rights to me where if the call did come, I'm obligated to fight out this fight. At the end of the day, man, we're you know as good as these local promotions that Rise FC, as they've been so accommodating to me, they've treated me so well. At the end of the day, man, we're all striving to reach, those big promotions, those big paydays, right? I'm not out here to prove that I'm the best in British Columbia. I'm out here to prove that I'm the best in the world. So at the end of the day, if the call were to come, I would be gone in a heartbeat, man. Fuck. The other day, I had to borrow like $100 from my coach to make it to the gym because I had to get some gas money put in the car. Man, I'm broke, man. I need a payday, man. So, I think, I think it's gonna come. I'm confident it's gonna come. So yeah, I'm just gonna stay ready, man. I'm gonna stay ready.
That's exactly it, man. Well, Jamie, again, man, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy guy, and from somebody who grew up in a small town with you, it's been really cool to watch you continue to ascend up the ladders and up the rankings, and like we've talked about, I think you are just one step away, and I look forward to seeing you take that step. So. The floor is yours, man. Let the people know where we can follow you. Let the people know exactly. Mention again where your upcoming fight is, and yeah, take it away.
Yeah, so you guys could follow me on Instagram, Jamie.Siraj. Just a big shout outs to all my team that's been holding me down for this camp. There's so many guys to mention, but the teams that my coach Cajun, my coach Bibiano Fernandez, my coach Dan Glokar, who's been just helping me so much throughout this training camp. Um, yeah, Tristan Connolly, who's been grinding with me this whole camp and who's been, pushing me, and I've been pushing him, and we've just been getting in phenomenal rounds, so everyone over there at Checkmat Vancouver, Revolution Martial Arts. I would like to give a shout out to a couple of sponsors here. Rocksteady Drywall, the Whole Bowl, Main Street Nightclub in Chilliwack, Casey Bruneck from there, Intention.com, the powerful Connie Linder, Darwin and Francine Douglas from Chiam Trading Post and Indigenous Bloom. I mean, they've done so much for me over the years, and they've had my back through the hardest times. So I really appreciate them for everything they've done. Trent Whittle from Catalyst Kinetics. Yeah, man, just all my teammates, all my sponsors, everyone that supports me, all of Chilliwack, BC, that's stood by me and supported me and watched my progression. And Sean Shelby, Dana White, I'm fucking coming. I'm coming. July 27th, by the pay-per-view. I know you're not going to watch it because you're going to be obviously at the card, but fucking test the replay. You're not going to want to miss it.
Good stuff, my man. Well, Jamie, again, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time. Can't wait to see what comes in the near future, because I think that we're going to see it here. So, best of luck on July 27th. Go out there and do what you talk about. Make those finishes come, and I can't wait to see what's next, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Lyndon. Shout outs to you, man, and fucking all of Chilliwack. I love you guys.
Awesome. That is Jamie Siraj, you guys.